Hello everyone, and welcome back to another of our video. Today we would be continuing from where we left off the last time. So in today's video, in the last class, in the last video, we actually started building our first robots, and we saw some best practices. You know how to you can probably use flowchart, how to describe or define your trading logic in such a way that makes it easier for you to build it. And we went ahead to build our first project on the FX Dreamer. So in today's class, what we're going to do is we're going to backtest. So this class is kind of like a 2-in-1. I'm going to show you how to backtest on the MT4. The same concept applies to the MT5, how to use the strategy tester tool on the MT4, and to backtest the EA or the robots that you built. And this is a very, very important aspect of trading. Backtesting is one of the most important aspects of forex robot building, because many a times you'd at least there are mistakes that will be made or things that are not functioning as properly, so you want to do so in a demo environment, right? And to see that the code the bot you build is doing exactly the things you intended to do. This is also a good place to look for optimizations. Okay, this doesn't work well, maybe I alter it a little bit, and that's one of the key importance of backtesting. So we'll be showing in this video, we'll be looking at we'll be backtesting our EA, the one we just built. And then we will also look to see how we can maybe optimize it, like I mentioned in the last video. Okay, so stay tuned as usual. Let's jump straight into it. Okay, so first off, let's just jump over to our FX Dreamer platform here. And this was where we left off the last time, where we completely built our project. We based on our flowcharts, where we said if there are no trades, then look for the buy conditions. If it's met, then buy. Otherwise, if look for the sales condition or sell condition rather, and if it's met, look to sell. We also imputed the stop loss to take profit, and we did so by declaring from the constant of declare. So what we'll do now is we'll just download this project. Nothing has changed the way it was the last time. So to download your project, just go to you can just click on this .mq4 or .ex4. Any of them is fine. We'll just download the .mq4. So the difference is if you download the .mq4, you can actually you can actually so I'm just going to save it. You can actually go to the MQL metal codes. That's the MQL programming page. Basically, it comes with your MT4, and then you can modify. You can see the code. You can adjust it if you want to do that. So it's most likely be useful for people who have some programming experience. So we've downloaded it now to file folder. So what we'll do now is we'll go to the MT4 that we want, and then I'll show you how you can copy your projects or your EAs to the data folder of your MT4, and then how you can also access it. So let's jump over to our MT4. So this is our MT4 that we'll be using. Down here, you can see our navigator pane here, and then just below here, you'd see Expert Advisor. And that's the area, that's the place you want to save all your EAs, right? So you want to save your EAs in the Expert Advisor folder. That's what it stands for, Expert Advisor EA. So to access the Expert Advisor folder, just go to File here. So File, and then go to Open Data Folder. So you click on File, then you click on Open Data Folder, and that will take you straight to the data folder of your MT4, which is this, right? So this is the data folder of my MT4. And what you want to do is go to MQL4. So if it's MT5, you see it as MQL5. So MT4, we're going to MQL4. And then under that, we want to go to Experts. So Experts, this is where you paste the bot you just downloaded, okay? So I have some of my specific bots here. These are private to me. And these are some of the ones that come with the MT4 by default. So I'm just going to where we downloaded it from, which is the download page. And I'll just cut, let me just cut, and then go back to where we're coming from and just paste, right? So I'll just paste, okay? So now we've pasted this on the data folder of our MT4. So what you do now is if we come back to the MT4, just right-click on Expert Advisor and just refresh, okay? So right-click and refresh. And as you can see, we now have our first project file here. So we can now access it on this specific empty form. Okay. So what we do is we're going to use the strategy tester to test the work we've done. Now, remember, what we're checking now is to see if it's actually doing everything we wanted it to do. That means execute buy, or when the moving average crossover, impute the 50 pips stop loss, impute the 100 pips take profits. Okay, so to open the strategy tester window, just go to view and then come down to strategy tester, or you can just simply click on Control R. It will still open the strategy tester window. So we'll click on strategy tester, and you can see we have our strategy tester window down here. So what you want to do now is this: select your robots or your bots from this, from this tab here. This is our first project, so we'll select that. And then select the symbol you want to test it on. So what we're going to just test it on, we'll test it on the popular Euro USD, okay? Now, you would also want to select the dates, right? So obviously this date is too far, it won't work. So let's select, let's just go forward to 2023, which is this year. And let's just do it from February 1 to like, now we're not going to, let's just see. Okay. Well, you 2023 should be here. 23. And let's just test this to April. Okay. And whatever dates. Now, so that's the use date. Now, visual mode, you want to check this box, maybe push this to the maximum. And then, so this is the time frame. You select the time frame you want to test it on. So we're going to, let's leave it at the 1 hour time frame, okay? And we'll leave that the way it is. Now, under this option here that says expert property, if you click on it, it will show you basically the input property of your EA. So you can see the title is our first project. You can see we have testing. So how much balance are we initially starting? Do we want it to look for both buy and sells and all of those? Then under input, this is where, so you can see those constants that we declared initially, right? You can see them here. EMA fast, then EMA 20 slow, our lot size 0.1, stop loss 30 pips. Is that what we used? Did we use 30 pips? Was it 30 pips we used? I think so. Let me just confirm. What's this? Okay. Because let me come back here. So our stop loss take profits, and so we can modify those parameters if we want to. Okay. So let's. Okay, so I had to just quickly see what the issue was. So what happened is I had an initial, so I paused the recording that. I had an initial, I think I've done this earlier for the previous class, and it was interfering. So for that one, I used the stop loss of 30 pips and a take profit of 60 pips. So I was wondering why that was still showing. So what I just did was I renamed the file and put it in another folder. Okay, so you can see the EA that we built with our EMA fast, our EMA slow, our lot size, our stop loss, our take profits. And we can modify. So if we wanted to use EMA 50, we just put that and it will be used. Or we want to use one lot per trade, or want to make the stop loss 100 pips and take profits 200, whatever it is. So this is the importance of having it declared like we did. Okay, so if we click on OK, that's so we're not changing anything basically. And so what you do is we'll just click on Start. Okay, so click on Start. And we'll wait for the, so what it's doing now, it's updating price. So what we'll do, or what we can do is, so that we can have a visual, so let me post this. So what we'll do, so that we can have a visual idea as to what is actually going on, is we will add the moving averages, right? We'll add moving average so we can see how the EA takes, if the EA takes trades when it's supposed to, that's when the moving averages cross over. So let's just add our 10 and 20 exponential moving average. So that's 20 EMA. I'll do the same thing. Sorry. Add our 10 EMA. Okay. So we'll make this 10. We'll also change the color to, let's say, red. Okay, so we have our 10 and 20 EMA. The 10 is the red one and the 20 is the yellow one. So what we want to see is if there's a crossover, we want to see the market take a trade. Okay, so let's continue. So let's play and see. Is there a crossover? Yes, there is a crossover. So you can see now that it's okay. There is an error here. But basically, you can see that there's a crossover and it took a buy, right? So it took a buy trade. Actually, it took a buy and a sell, if I'm not mistaken. So this is actually one of the important reasons for back testing, because there you see this kind of errors and you know how to. So actually, it took both a buy and a sell. So what we'll do is it means we'll just go back to our code and we adjust it. But you can see. Basically, you can see what's going on here. It takes a trade when a crossover happens, but it's taking both buy and sell. Okay, so let me see. Let's just play this forward. Let me see what happens. Okay, so it's taking both trade buys and sells. Okay, so what we'll do now is we would let's just go back to our drawing board and see where the error might be coming from. Okay, so we said if there are no trades, check the buy condition. Let's see the buy condition, and then we'll look at the sell condition itself. So this is one of the important. I'm glad that this happened because this way it can give us. It gives us gives us an example for what troubleshooting might look like, right? And why back testing is important. So the buy condition looks okay if the moving average exponential cross above the slow. Okay, okay. Then yeah, so this looks okay. Let's update. Let's see the sell condition. Okay, so you can see the mistake here. So the condition, right? You can see that we're checking if the fast moving average cross above the slow. But here, the sell condition, so if I go back to our drawing, to our flow chart here, where is here? Where is that? So let me just quickly go over to it. Yeah, okay. So you can see our sell condition is supposed to be, right? Our sell condition is supposed to be if the 10 exponential moving average cross less than, if it cross below to 20, right? However, if you notice what we have here, right? This is if the 10 exponential moving average, that's the EMA fast, you can see what it says here, is greater than, right? So if the 10 exponential moving average is greater than the 20, this is the reason why it is, whenever it sees a buy, you know, when I place a buy, it's place both buys and sell because we made a mistake here. So this is a very, very good example. I'm glad that this happened. So we'll just change this to what it's supposed to be. So this is supposed to be if the 10 exponential moving average cross below, right? And we'll click on update. And that's done. So what we'll do now is we'll save it. I'm just going to rename this file so that it matches. Okay, let's just name it first project 2. Okay. So we'll name it first project 2, and then we'll just download our file. Okay, so first project 2, we'll download the file and select it show up, and I'll click on save. Yeah, so click on save, and it has downloaded. So what we'll do now is we'll go back to our MT4, right? Copy this, copy of this. I'll just downloaded the EA to the data folder of our MT4. I think we have that folder open already. So that's it here. So what I can do is let's just delete all this here. Okay, so I'm just going to delete, go to download. Let's cut this and paste it back there. Okay, so remember we're pasting this in the data folder of our MT4. You can see data folder MKL4. So open the data folder MKL4, then under experts, right? So I just created a new folder and called it class text project, and we just posted this. So what we'll do now is we'll go back to our MT4, okay, and then we would refresh on our expert advisor so that we have our new files. So you can see first project 2. So what we'll do is we'll stop this one, okay? And then we would add our new, basically our updated project, which should work properly, okay? So now when we go back to expert advisor, I think every other thing should still be the same. Everything should still be the same. We didn't change anything here. But this time, hopefully it should do exactly what we asked it to do. So while we're waiting for the charts to load, let's pause this first. Okay, so let me add our moving average so we can have a feel for what's going on. So I'm going to just go in SATs, indicator, trend, moving average. Okay, so 10 period moving average. Let's call it 10. No, this is the wrong thing. I'm adding money flow index. So moving average, indicator, trend, moving average. Okay. Why is it adding money flow index? My MT4 just decides to act up today. Okay. Where are you getting money flow index from? This is moving average. I'm clicking. Okay. So let me do this instead. So let's add this from here. Moving average. Yeah. I think that should work. So 10 period moving average exponential. Let's also add 20 exponential moving average, and we'll make it yellow. Okay. And we can drag this back up. Okay. So now what we want to see is when I play price, we want to see the market. So when this moving average cross over, we want to see it take a buy, right? So let's see how that goes. So play. Okay, it didn't cross over, so I'm pausing it. I paused it, so you can see there was no crossover there, right? Okay. So let's continue to play price. Okay. See, okay, so now so now you can see that it took a trade, right? You can see it here. It took a buy trade with 0.1 lot size. It took just one trade, unlike before. You can see where our stop loss is, where our take profit is. So let me just use the mouse to see if we can. I hope you can see this. So if I put my mouse over here, you'd see. Okay, you wouldn't see it. So let me just use the crosshair tool, right? I'll just use the crosshair tool and just drag from our entry to our target. You can see this is 100 pips, just about 100 pips. It's 100 pips because I'm not measuring it, right? And then this is 50 pips, right? So it did exactly what we asked it to do. Put our stop loss at 50 pips, put our take profit at 100 pips, and it executed the trade. Where did it execute the trade? You can see it here, right? So let me zoom in. I think I can zoom in because some of you might be looking at this via your phones. So let me zoom in a little. I think I can drag this down. So let's drag this down. Okay, so then let's do this. So you can see where it took the trade here, right? Why? Because that is where the crossover happened. Okay, so what we'll just do is we'll just play price and let it continue to move and see how it progresses. So let me just push this back up so we can click on play. Okay, so let's see. So that one was a loss. Now it's too fast. Let me pause it again. Now it took another trade. That trade ended up in a loss. Remember, the goal of this is not about building, creating let it be profitable. We're just building it to do exactly what we asked it to do, and it can be profitable, especially if you apply something like this on a daily time frame. Okay, so now again, it took another trade. Where did he take the trade? You can see this blue mark here. That was where he took the trade. Why did he take the trade? Because at the close of this candle, right? That is where the crossover happened, which was at the close of this candle, right? And you can see it took that trade there. Now, it took the trade. It was what kind of trade is that? A buy, right? Why did it buy? Because the 10 EMA crossed above the 20. Simple as that. And yeah, it almost hit our take profit here. So this is why backtesting is important. You might look at things like this and optimize it and say, okay, instead of 100 pips, maybe I go for 80 pips because it keeps, stuff like that. This is how you optimize stuff, right? So let's continue to play. Let's see if it hits loss again or profits, but that's not the idea. And then another important tool here in the backtesting, on that graph here, you can see the graph curve, the results for the trades and all of those things. So let's just keep playing price. And essentially, so this one is going to hit our loss. very fine. So essentially, it opens another trade. You can see open another trade, crossover, targeting the buys, profit here, stop loss here. And so we've actually achieved our first result, which is in building a bot that looks at the moving average crossover. Now, let's say we apply this to the daily chart. I'm sure the result will be quite different. Okay, so right now it has taken 3 trades, 4 trades now, 1 wins and 2. Now it took a sell. So let's pause this so we can look at that. It took a sell here, right? Why? Because you can see the crossover happening there. That's where the crossover happened. See the stop loss, see our take profits, and you can see it's a sell. Okay, so so far so good. Our bot is doing exactly what we asked it to do, and that's all we want to see, right? So so far, let's look at the graph curve. 2 wins. Because of our risk to reward ratio, even though we've only won twice, it's almost at break even because we're risking 2 to 1. So essentially, that's the way we've done this. Now, what we'll do now, just like I mentioned, is we're going to now take this same EA, and what we'll do is instead of so let me go over to the chart, right? So now, before now, what we're looking at is, well, if there's a crossover, right? Let's say the crossover that happened here. Okay, let me change the color of this. So if this crossover happens here, it will take a sell because that's a selling signal. It will put stop loss 50 pips and it will put take profit 100 pips. However, what we'll look to do now is try and take advantage of the trend, since this is a trend-based EA. So instead of closing with physical hard-coded stop loss, we're going to use dynamic stop loss to close all our trades. So what that means is, let's say at this point where the moving average crossover, it will open a buy, right? Now it would not use a stop loss, although it's using a stop loss, but it's not like a hard-coded stop loss. Instead, if it buys because the 10-period moving average crossed above the 20-period moving average, it will stay on that trade until the 10-period moving average crosses below the 20-period moving average. Right? So it's buying because the 10-period moving average crossed above, and it will stay on that trade until the 10-period moving average crosses below. Now, what you notice, the condition for closing the buy trade is also the same condition for opening the sell trade, which is the 10-period moving average crossing below the 20. And so that means when it closes the buy, right? When it closes that buy trade, it will open what? A sell trade. And then it will close that sell trade when the opposite condition is met, and then open a buy trade, and then close that buy trade here and open a sell trade, and so this is what we're going to try and do. We're going to try and make it dynamic. Okay, so let's see how we go about doing that. Now we go back to our project. This did exactly what we wanted it to do. So now let's see how we can even take this a step further. Now, so I think the first part of the code is all right. That means this section here is fine, where we look for these conditions for buying and selling are right. However, what we're going to want to change is, instead of, let's go to the buy and sell condition. We'll leave the lot size the way it is, but instead of using fixed pip, right, we will say no stop loss, right? So in stop loss mode, instead of using fixed pip, we'll use no stop loss. And then in take profits, instead of using fixed pip, we'll say no take profits. And then we'll update, don't worry. The same thing for the sell side, right? So we'll double click on that. And then instead of using fixed pip for the stop loss and take profits, we would also use the no stop loss and no take profits. And the reason we're doing that is because we're going to now set another condition for the trade, for the EA to look for to close the open trades. Okay, so double click. What's going on? Open up. Okay, so yeah, okay, this is open. So instead of using fixed pip, we'll make this no stop loss and would also make this no take profits and would update. Okay, so now what the code is going to do, or what the bot is going to do, is if it checks there are no trade, it will check the buy condition, and if it is met, it will open a trade. Otherwise, to check the sell condition, and if the condition is met, it will open a trade. Now, but if we just use it like this, what happens is it will take a buy trade when the condition is met, and it would never close the trade until maybe the account is blown or you manually close it. And the same thing for a sell. That means at most it's going to take just 2 trades. So what we need to do now is set another parameter for watching for open trades and closing them. Now, if we go over here to check trades, condition, and order count, remember we started with if no trade. Now we're going to begin with if trade. That means here we're saying if there was no trade, check this and check this. Now we're going to say if there is a trade, check this and do what? Check this. So what we're going to do is we're going to say if trade, we'll double click on this. We're going to just make this buy only. So if the trade is a buy trade, what do we want to do? We want to check the conditions for closing a buy trade. So we're going to check conditions. Let's just rename this close buy. Let's just call it close buy condition. Okay. And then, so what's the condition for closing a buy? Remember, we are buying because the 10 moving average crossed above the 20. So we want to close the buy when the 10 period moving average crosses below. So we bought because it crossed above. Now we want to close it when it crosses below. So when 10 exponential moving average, ensure we're looking at the current price, okay? When it crosses below, so cross below the 20, so that's our 20 exponential moving average. We'll also make this 1. And then we'll close this, we update that. So if there are no trades, if there is a trade and the trade is a buy, that's why we said if trade and we selected just buy. If there's a trade and the trade is a buy, it will look at this condition. If the condition is met, what do we want it to do? Well, trading action, we want to close trades, okay? So now we'll double click on this and we want, what type of trade do we want to close? So under trade type, no, not trap time, under, filter by type, we want to close just the buy, okay? And then we'll click on updates. So we connect this to this. And essentially, what we've just done here is we've set the condition for closing a buy trade. So if there's no trade, so look at how the code runs. If there are no trade, it will check whether the buy condition is met or whether the sell condition is met. And if any of them is met, it will execute. So let's say it's a buy condition that is met and it opens the buy. At every point, it would also be checking. So when it looks at the code, it will also see this code here that says if trade. And it will check if the trade is a buy, it will check if the condition for closing buy is met. And if it is met, it will close that trade. So we'll do the same thing for the sell side. Now, another thing you can also do to, when you are while you're working is you can also copy and reuse things. I can just simply copy this one, right? Paste it and just modify it. So instead of doing everything over and over again, it's much useful when you are, when it's much more complex. So what we'll just do is modify this. So if trades, so instead of buys, we're going to change this to sell, right? Click on updates, and then we can modify this to close sell condition. So close sell condition, and then modify the values inside. So what's the condition for closing a sell? We buy, remember, we're looking to buy when the, okay, so I think it's a bit easier here. We look to buy when the 10 period moving average cross above the 20. We look to close the buy when the 10 period moving average cross below the 20. However, we look to sell when the 10 period cross below the 20, and we close the sell when the 10 period cross above the 20. So now that means the condition for closing the sell is when the 10 period moving average cross above. So this will be X greater than, and every other thing is the same. So this is the beauty of copy and paste. So we can just, instead of doing everything at once, we can just change a specific thing and update. And then in closing trade, we want to close, not the buy this time, but we want to close the sell. So we can just rename this, so updates, yeah. So we can just rename this open trade. Okay, logic. Now you don't need to do this. Don't need to do this, but imagine if there's some complex code, you just see a lot of things here. It can be quite helpful for you to understand what particular area of your project is controlling which area. So that's why I tend to do this. So we'll just call this manage trade area. Manage trade logic. Okay. and click on done. Now, so basically, everybody should be at this point, if there are no trades, check the condition for buy or sell. If any of them is met, open a buy or sell. Otherwise, if there's a trade, check if the trade is a buy. If the trade is a buy, check this condition, and if this condition is met, close the buy. Or check the condition. If the trade is a sell, check the condition for closing a sell. If it is met, close the sell. Right? So that's basically it. So what we'll do now is we would download this project and test it and see if it does exactly that. So what I'll just do is I'll just rename this project to first project. It's no longer first project. So let's just call it EMA cross. EMA crossover. It's what do I call this now? So let's just call it EMA crossover with trend. Let's just call it EMA crossover with trend. No. Let's just call it EMA crossover. No SL. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. No SL. Okay, so we know which one is this. Okay, and what we'll do is we download it and then test it. And yeah, so let that download. I'll save it, and then we go to our MT4. Okay, and obviously I can stop this now. And what we'll do is we would go to our data folder. So open data folder. I have it opened here. Yeah, and so we just go to download and cut, go back and paste it. So we have it pasted here. So we'll go back to our MT4, and what we'll do is we'll refresh anywhere here. And now we have our EMA crossover, no SL. So what we do is we'll just go to our EMA crossover, no SL, select it, right? We'll use it on Euro USD. We'll still use it for the same period, but maybe this time let's just use it for the daily charts. Okay, so let's use it for the daily chart this time. Okay. Now the properties we didn't change. Though in this particular instance, we don't need the SL and the take profit again because our code doesn't, our bot doesn't really use it. So we can even actually delete it from FX Dreamer project. But it being here doesn't do us any different. It doesn't harm the code or anything. So we'll just leave it that as it is, and we'll click on start. So while that is loading, what we'll do is we would add our EMAs. So we'll just add our moving averages so we can see if it's doing that. So this is the 20 period moving average. We'll also add the 10 period moving average. Okay, so 10, we'll make it red. Okay, and so we have our 10 and 20 EMA. So now basically what we want to see is this. So as it stands now, you can see that this market is basically has been bullish. So because of where we started, this is the first, this is January. We are running it from the date of February, right? So we want to see something like this, where the crossover happens somewhere like here, right? It should open a buy, and it should stay in that buy. It will still be in this buy until the crossover happens the opposite way, and then it closes the buy. Okay, so let's run this and see. Or actually, okay, let's just run it and see. Okay, so because it's daily time frame, this probably take a bit of a time. So let's just wait till it happens. Yeah, let's see if we see a crossover. I should have done this on the 1 hour chart because this, okay, now it has, let's see, let me see. So it has opened a sell. So you can see, let me zoom in a little bit so you all can see. So you'd see that it has opened a sell trade, right? Here. You can see the trade here, it's a sell trade. And it opened it, where did you open it? Here. Why did it open the trade there? You can see that the crossover of the moving average happened at this candle. That means at the close of this candle, which is the open of this candle, it opened a sell trade. Now, as you can see, there's also no stop loss and no take profits like the other one was. So what we want to see is, we want to see this a close this trade, right? When the moving average cross over the other direction. Okay, so let's see if it does exactly that. And at that point, we would have accomplished our desire. So let's look at this. Let me play price. So it continues to move. So we're just sitting, we're waiting for the next trade, basically. So what we want to see are two things. When the crossover happens, we want to see it close the sell trade, but we also want to see it open a buy trade, right? So in this particular instance, the market is going our way, we're making profits. Oh, good. Remember, you can obviously close your trade manually and all, but let's see. This is taking. Okay, so let's just wait. So this is one of the, while we're waiting for the next trade to occur, this is one of the importance of backtesting, because you want to see how your EA function, and if it does exactly what you want to see areas where maybe there were potential errors and how you'd have handled that, right? And so now it seems like it's going to cross. So what we want to see is for it to close this sell and open a buy. Let's see. Okay, not yet. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so nothing happening yet. Let's see. Does it cross? So when it crosses over, we want to say it close this cell and open a buy. So I'm sure it does here. So now let me pause this. Notice what happens. Look at the sell trade that was opened here, right? He ended up closing it for a small loss here, right? Now it's what happens when he opened that, when he closed that trade, it opened a buy. Why did he open that buy? Because the condition for buy is met. The moving average crossed over at the end of this candle, and he closed the sell and opened a buy. Now, unlike the other one, you know, there's always advantage and disadvantage to everything. Let's say this one, maybe stop loss, take profit, it might have given you profit. This one will work best when the market is trending, right? So if the market is trending, you'd love this a lot, because imagine this. If it had gotten involved here, it will stay on the trade until this point here before it exits the trade. You understand? Okay, so and if we look at our, let's go over here and look at our graph, you'd see that our balance has dropped. Okay, so if we look at the result of that particular trade, it lost basically $26. Okay, so let's play price and see what happens next. So it's going to stay on this buy trade until the moving average crosses over the other direction. Okay, so that's basically it for this particular class. We have built our first EA, we've backtested it, we have also optimized it, and basically made it a little bit dynamic in terms of our stop loss and our take profit. And yeah, I think that this is a very good first few sessions for our trading. So now we've done this, what we'll do is in our next couple of classes, we'll look to build other types of bots using candlesticks and price action, because of the different variety of traders we have. We have some price action traders, we have some indicator-based traders. You can incorporate this with like RSI and other fancy stuff. So you can see our trade is still moving, and let's see where it closes, right? Okay, so it didn't close because this is we tested it from January, February to April, and this is April. But you get the idea, and it's doing exactly what we asked it to do. Okay, just to wrap up, let me make this 1 hour, just so that we can see it clearly, because this did not give us enough examples. Okay, so I'll just quickly add the moving averages, and we'll see that. Okay, so let me pause this for now. Okay, then we'll add the 20. Okay, so let me change one of them's color. Make this yellow. Okay, so yeah, and let's see what happens. So it took a buy now. Why did it take the buy? Because of the crossover. So we want to see it stay on this buy until the crossover happens the other direction. Okay, so let's see. Let me zoom in so we can see that. And let's play price. And yeah, it closed the buy, right? It closed the buy here and open a sell, right? And then I'm sure it also closes the sell here. You can see it's the lines are quite thin, but you can see it closed this was the buy from here to here, right? And then it opened the sell at the close of that candle, right? From there to there. So this particular system will struggle in a ranging market, but when the market begins to trend, it will give you very nice profits. Okay, so let's I just want to show you several examples of it so you understand. So it closed the buy, open a sell. Now it's in a sell. It closed the sell, open a buy, but it closed it as a profit. So basically, our EA is doing all that we asked it to do, and that is all we can basically ask for. And this is very important because remember, like I mentioned, when it comes to building EA, the strategy is the key. So if you have a strategy that is profitable, then it's to give you profitable signal. So imagine this trade now is still in this sell. It has still been in this sell. You know, it's still in this sell because the crossover has not happened, and you can see where it finally closed that trade, all the way from here to here. So in the trending market, you capture most of the move. However, it's struggling in the ranging market, and now it's in a buy, which is also in profit. And if we look at our graph curve here, you can see that it's pushing higher. So this is also quite nice. What I'll do is I'll impute both EAs on the classwork section of this Google course, so you can obviously download and test it for yourself. Okay, so thank you everybody, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, so have a nice day. Remember, practice, and it's not just about EAs. This EA. Now remember, the idea is not that this EA makes you money. The idea is you use the logic of what you're learning to create an EA for your system, because this particular EA will probably struggle quite a lot. Okay, so yeah, cheers. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a wonderful day.